Jayson Tatum goes down with an injury. Are the Tigers World Series contenders? All this plus much more next on Austin's Academy of Sports. Starting off this episode with a little bit of somber news as Jayson Tatum, Monday night in Game 4, Jayson Tatum goes down with an apparent injury, and he looks to be done for the season, definitely this season, and most likely a big chunk of next season as well. As when I'm filming this, we still don't have a correct answer on what his injury is, but we believe, and all doctors point to a potential Achilles injury, and it's not looking good for Jayson Tatum and the Celtics. They are down in a 3-1 hole now, and they're officially on death watch, I guess you could say, back in Boston as they come back to Boston. I believe their game is Wednesday night, and it'll be a different type of atmosphere, different type of game without Jayson Tatum. I'm sure he'll be on the bench, but just earth-shattering news, I guess you could say. Some could be positive about it. Actually, I don't think anything's positive about that. A star player in the NBA going down with a severe injury, especially a long-term injury like that with an Achilles, that takes a while to heal up, and I don't think he'll be ready for this season. Definitely not next season either. Could make a return at the end of the 2026 season or early 2027 season, but until we know more, I'll just keep an eye on ESPN, wherever you get your notifications, and have good thoughts for Jayson Tatum coming up, because he was a baller, and this whole entire season wasn't really injury prone until Monday night in that game. Was going for a ball. Actually, just take a look at the play here.
Here's the injury, Richard.
Well, it's very difficult. You never presume anything, but that step forward, that false step forward, and he goes down immediately. We don't know what it is, but when you see a player in this position, we thought, because we were looking at OG, was it a rolled ankle? Was it a tweak of something? We're not sure. We're going to let the doctors figure that out.
So Tatum hobbling back to the locker room, obviously couldn't put any weight at all on the right foot.
Yeah, a real barn burner for Jayson Tatum and the Celtics, because he was a great sportsmanship athlete so far throughout the series against the Knicks, and when the Celtics needed him most, he stepped up big time. Don't get me wrong, the series is far from over. The defending champs are not out of it yet, down in a 1-3 hole, heading back to Boston, but a major blow for Jayson Tatum and the Celtics to be out like that. I mean, he had 42 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks, and shot 7 for 16 from behind the three-point line. Just an all-around great performance, a stat sheet stuffer, as many people would say, for Jayson Tatum. And it's just sad to see him go down, especially on a non-contact injury like that, going for the ball like you saw in that video, and just bending his ankle. It looked like a little bit too far back. He actually called a timeout himself, couldn't put any weight on it. The Celtics training staff had to come out and put his 2 arms around him and make sure they got to the locker room okay. And then at one point, the ESPN broadcast had a backdoor locker room kind of camera where they physically saw, and the whole world saw all over social media, where Jayson Tatum had to be wheeled out on a wheelchair, and just a sight for, I guess you could say, not sore eyes, because Jayson Tatum, it's just sad to see him go out like that. And it could have been an interesting series with Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White, and then against the New York Knicks, who we haven't even mentioned yet. A little bit of a hate watch for the Knicks. Different story, different day, different time. As many of you know, the New York Knicks beat the Detroit Pistons, my hometown team, and sent the Pistons home. But back to the Celtics, man. They had an interesting series going on with the New York Knicks, and they had a chance to do it. And just prayers up for Jayson Tatum, and that he heals up correctly and makes a full and speedy recovery for the Celtics next year. A little bit more better news, I guess you could say, for not as somber to start this episode off, is the Detroit Tigers, man. They are just ranking high up in the rankings, 27-15 right now, tied with the New York Mets, and just a half a game behind the Los Angeles Dodgers, who actually swept the Tigers to begin the series back in the middle or end of April, I guess you could say. And that started off a rough streak when starting the season off 0-3. And then that kind of sparked a rally for the Tigers against heading to Seattle, winning that series. It seems like they've won every single series here. They haven't, because they just lost the most recent series to the Texas Rangers over the weekend. A sellout crowd over throughout the 3-day Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend. It was over 100K people there between the 3 days, which was a sight to see. Finally, some good things happening in Detroit, and that ever since Dan Campbell was hired in for the Lions, completely different side note, by the way, but ever since he was hired in, he just established the identity that Detroit and the state of Michigan wants to run through, and that is straight up good old-fashioned grit. And the Tigers have preached it. The Lions have certainly preached it. The Pistons have preached it, getting back to their bad boy mentality. And now the Red Wings just need to kind of latch on to that as well in the next couple of years. But back to the Tigers, man, 27-15, half game out of first place in the whole entire MLB, leading the American League by, looks like from the ESPN standings here, 2.5 games over the New York Yankees, Cleveland Guardians, and Kansas City Royals. But jokes aside, that American League Central, I just listed three of the 5 teams in the American League Central, the Royals, the Guardians, and the Tigers, and they're neck and neck for a pivotal first place ranking. But so far, the Tigers have been able to command that lead, and they've done it not only with their pitching, but with their hitting as well. Last year, their pitching was phenomenal. This year, it's still good, not phenomenal. Tarek Skubal is still phenomenal, by the way. But the offense has really stepped up. They're a plus 84 run differential throughout this whole MLB season, which basically means they score more runs than they give up. And if they're scoring more runs, that's a recipe for success. And A.J. Hinch has said it before. He wants to establish that grit, going back to that famous word. And so far, he's been able to do it. The Tigers have bought onto that success. And they're in a pivotal point of the season right here. 12 games above 500 when filming this. Great series against the Bo Sox coming up, which is a different story. But Alex Bregman on third base for the Red Sox. If you remember correctly, in the big offseason, I guess you could say scramble for Alex Bregman, they didn't come up with him because, two sides didn't come up with an agreement there. And A.J. Hinch has preached this as well. If you don't want to come play with us, move aside and we'll just beat you. And so far, the Red Sox have not been able to beat the Tigers. They got smoked 14-1 in Game 1 of that 3-game series. 9 runs in the third inning for the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers. 9-run third inning. And it was a bloodbath from first inning on. Kerry Carpenter starts that starts at the top of the order for the Tigers. And, Javi Baez, who has a potential to win Comeback Player of the Year, by the way. Him, Casey Mize, and Spencer Torkelson. Not 1, not 2, but 3 Detroit Tigers have a chance to win Comeback Player of the Year. Obviously, only one will go away with that award, but if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I like to stay safe with my money, but I would bet one of those 3 players to come away with that Comeback Player of the Year, win that award for the Tigers, and that won't be the only award they're winning. Skubal has a chance to win a Cy Young again, back-to-back Cy Youngs, possibility for Tarek Skubal, and nobody has done that since 2018, 2019, which was, by the way, Jacob deGrom, who the Tigers were not able to beat in the Texas Rangers series. And boy, if he would have stayed healthy, he would have been a juggernaut to go up against as well. But he's the last back-to-back Cy Young winner in the NL. In the AL, the most recent back-to-back Cy Young winner was Pedro Martinez back in 1999 and 2000. You feel old yet? I don't, because I certainly wasn't alive in that period. But Tarik Skubal has a chance to go back-to-back, and so far he's been, making easy work of anybody he pitches against. I mean, the Angels lit a fire up against him, and so far so good for Tarik Skubal. But, I mean, Tigers 27-15. They're in the middle of a series with the Bo Sox, and they're going to continue to be dominant. So that's the happy news of this episode. The Tigers are dominating. Jayson Tatum, a different injury, and that's all I got for this episode. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll be back next week for another episode of Austin's Academy of Sports. Have a good one.